Is your irrigation department an afterthought or a profit center? Check out today's conversation with Weathermatic President Lex Mason to see how you can massively increase your close rate of irrigation repair and really think of it more like an enhancement center. Plus, learn about the amazing nonprofit that Weathermatic supports to help bring drinking water to people around the world who normally don't have it.
Do you know the two reasons why landscapers get fired? Water and weeds. Something going wrong in irrigation, that's an annoying thing that keeps happening, breaks and leaks and not solving problems, and weeds that you can't get under control. Every single component buried in the ground, exposed to the sun and the elements every single day, has at maximum a 10-year life. But what's happening in water, it's getting radically more expensive. The expensive water has grown faster than power. It's grown faster than internet, than cell service. It is the fastest growing utility by almost 2 or 3-fold compared to anything else on the market. Everything's in a state of decay. And so what we do in particular is we help landscape companies build a process.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Landscaper's Guide. Today I'm at the Weathermatic headquarters in Garland, Texas with Lex Mason. So Lex, thanks for coming on the Landscaper's Guide.
Absolutely, thanks for being here.
So today I wanted to hear a little bit about your background in the landscape industry and some of your family story with Weathermatic. So who is Weathermatic? Who are you?
Yeah, absolutely. So Weathermatic is a now 80-year-old business. So 1945 is when we got started. I wasn't around quite back then, but this is a second-generation business here for us. My father bought the business in the early 90s. Really started as at the very beginning of Weathermatic was a landscape irrigation contractor installing irrigation systems around local Dallas. And when the founding family of Weathermatic couldn't get their hands on good parts, good reliable parts and pieces, they decided to put his engineering degree to work and go build their own. And so that was really the first innovation of the company. The later days, I mean, kind of more recently, it's been the transition from a manufacturing business into a software connected technologies. And very simply put, we support commercial landscape maintenance contractors to build out a profit center in their irrigation division.
Yeah, so tell me more about what is SmartLink in particular?
Yeah, so SmartLink is our product. It's our web-enabled product, and so it brings together our irrigation controllers. SmartLine is the name of the controller lineup. SmartLink is the web application that links you to your control system. So if you're a landscape contractor and you manage 100, 200 locations, we help get SmartLink deployed across your portfolio of sites. So now you can manage all of your systems remotely. And we have things like an inspection and audit tool. We integrate with like Boss and Aspire for like that wet check or that irrigation inspection process. And we have some other analytic tools and things like that. So SmartLink is physically the software that attaches to the hardware of the control system.
And who would you say is your hell yes customer? How big are they? How many clients do they have?
Yeah.
Where are they in the United States?
So we work with any typically high-end residential, primarily commercial landscape maintenance clients that do over $1 million a year in maintenance revenue. That's our
maintenance revenue overall, or for irrigation?
And maintenance revenue overall.
Okay.
Yeah, so anyone doing over $1 million in contract maintenance, we don't really. SmartLink is a business-to-business product, and so the $30 weekly cut, kind of residential home, not really a good fit application. We work primarily in that upper end of the residential maintenance space, and then all throughout the commercial.
So how many zones would a residential property need to have for SmartLink?
It really has nothing to do with the number of zones.
Okay.
It's more about the contract value. So if you're paying $100 a month for landscape work, at your home, not a great fit. But a lot of the higher end, housing developments where they're paying $500, $600, $800 a month, $1,000 a month for landscape services at their home. Pretty hard to call that a home when you're spending $1,000 on landscape a month. We kind of call it like estate management. So that upper end on the residential side, and then all throughout commercial.
And what's amazing is I just had dinner with some clients at the Winewood in Grapevine. Have you ever been there?
Yeah.
It was awesome. And they were telling me about some properties in Dallas where people are spending, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month.
Try a couple $100,000 a year
Yeah.
down in like Lakeside, Highland
Right.
Park. It's incredible.
So it would make sense for a highly affluent residential customer. And it definitely makes sense, though, for many commercial contracts.
Oh, commercial down from a quick service restaurant. We do the majority of all the Raising Cane's. If you're familiar with that chain, all the quick trips. We do most of the major national banks and then HOA properties, everything in between through our landscape
And
partners.
so what are people currently doing before they start using SmartLink that is causing a problem that you solve?
Well, the problem is they're not doing a lot. The problem is they're treating their irrigation division kind of as an afterthought. I've got an irrigation technician and maybe a helper or two, and their primary role is to fight fires. When something breaks, react to it, go fix it, and then hop to the next thing that's broken. And doing that kind of reactive method of work is leaving so many dollars on the table for their personal business, and it's also delivering a fairly crummy experience with the client. I did an interview, or I did basically a presentation with a company a couple years ago, and I'll never forget it as long as I live. We got through our little spiel, and the guy looks at me and he goes, "Lex, the 2 reasons why landscapers get fired?" I go, "I don't know, Joe. Like, why?" He goes, "Water and weeds. Something going wrong in irrigation, that's an annoying thing that keeps happening, breaks and leaks and not solving problems, and weeds that you can't get under control." And so that was something that kind of just stuck with me of, if you can get your water right and you get your weeds taken care of, you're going to be in a league far above the average, the average Joe in this business.
Well, I don't know that Weathermatic can help much with the weeds part, but how does it, what information does it give people so they can give a better customer experience?
Yeah,
in the water side.
The basics are, think about as a landscape company, think about your fleet of trucks and vans and service vehicles like that. They're all wearing out over time, right? You're having to do oil changes, rotate the tires, change filters, maybe rebuild a transmission or two. An engine blows up every now and then, crazy stuff. Now think about your, 50, 100, 200 clients that you're working with. Every single component buried in the ground, exposed to the sun and the elements every single day, has at maximum a 10-year life. Think about the average age of the properties that our mutual customers are managing. I reckon to guess most of them are more than 5-year-old pieces of real estate that they're taking care of and managing, and so everything's in a state of decay. And so what we do in particular is we help landscape companies build a process and then infuse technology to enable that so that they can do their recurring inspections, get through their audits, get through their checks, all up and down the supply chain, if you will, to make sure that this report gets put into this piece of technology if they're running Aspire or Boss or QuickBooks, things like that, so that the repairs that have to happen in the field get billed all the way back through to the customer. If we can repeat that reliably and consistently, Jack, then we're seeing this be like another enhancement division for a maintenance company.
I like
Significant profit.
So you're really making irrigation a profit center.
100%.
Instead of an afterthought.
Right now it's an afterthought. It's the redheaded stepchild. It's the thing that everyone forgets and kind of pushes it aside.
And so what's going on in water in general? Here in Texas, and then what are you seeing in other markets, and how does SmartLink help people have an advantage?
Well, I think it's great. You can almost look at like who are the leading landscape companies, not necessarily who's the biggest. I like to look at like what the local powerhouses are doing, right? Those local regional players that know the market, that are reacting, first and doing things, and you see them adopting our technology. But what's happening in water? It's getting radically more expensive. The expensive water has grown faster than power. It's grown faster than internet, than cell service. It is the fastest growing utility by almost 2 or 3-fold compared to anything else on the market. So it's accelerating. 2, it's becoming way more regulated. So the amount of restrictions, like you mentioned, Corpus Christi, a couple years ago, League City had the same thing. But now over 40% of the major cities across our country have water restrictions that change at least twice a year. And so think about having to go out there and reprogram all those controllers to stay compliant. I mean, San Antonio will write you tickets if your system is running at the wrong part of the day. And if you continue to offend, they will come and lock your water meter if you do not take care of it, if you don't remedy the situation.
The water police are coming.
The water police are coming. So it's becoming regulated. It's becoming a lot more expensive. If you look at the commercial building side, the ESG movement, the LEED movement, having to be more efficient and sustainable, all of these factors are coming in to tell landscapers, you're going to have to do something about it, or it's going to do something to you. So you can either take control of the situation and drive it to a resolution, or you can just kind of let it happen to you, and we're working with the people that are deciding to do something about it.
So what are some first steps people can take to get started, and how do they know when it makes sense to invest in SmartLink?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'll start with kind of the money equation, and we can kind of go into like the operational kind of process stuff. The first, I would highly encourage anyone who owns or runs a division of a landscape maintenance company is to take your top line maintenance revenue and compare that to what you're billing in irrigation repair and irrigation enhancement work with your maintenance customers. We call it a PIN rate, a penetration rate.
Okay.
And so what is your percentage of irrigation dollars as compared to your maintenance dollars? If that's less than 25%, so for every dollar that I sell in maintenance, I'm getting 25 cents in irrigation repair work from that same customer, then you're leaving money on the table.
What would be a good target?
25% is the target. The industry average is somewhere between 5 and 7. So we're talking like 4 or 5-fold increase if you take command of it.
Wow.
And this isn't 30% gross margin work. This is, in most cases, our clients are able to be somewhere between the 65 and 67% gross margin on irrigation work, and the approval rate compared to like trying to go sell.
I was just going to ask, what's the resistance from customers to doing these irrigation enhancements and repairs? I would imagine lower
if
than
something's
it would be
broken
for landscape.
If something's broken, it's a blank check to go fix it. You're not going to walk past a sprinkler head shooting 50 feet in the air, or water pouring out, or a nozzle.
Especially if the water police are writing
citations
for whatever. So.
You got it. But when you look at enhancements, and we talk about this all the time with our clients, if you went out and you made a proposal to every single one of your clients to apply an extra 2 inches of mulch, how many of them are going to say yes to that? I don't know, 10%, 20%, maybe if you're good, 30%. Let's plant some more flowers that are out of your budget. Let's go plant some more flowers. Maybe even less than that. Not a whole lot. But if you put that same proposal in front of all their clients for what they currently have broken on their site, which we just talked about, irrigation systems degrade over time. They are physically, the plastics in them are designed to degrade in the sun over a life cycle.
And I'm thinking of the commercial contractors who work with like grade A commercial real estate properties that are often cutting budgets for landscaping. Many of them have low usage of their properties compared to 4 or 5 years ago. What are you seeing in that particular sector? Is this...
If it's broken, fix it.
If it's broken,
fix it. We're seeing a lot of, this is a major trend in that higher end commercial space where you used to be able to count on your Class A office properties approving those enhancements, getting better color, getting better, bed layouts at that entryway. But now that we're in this hybrid work environment, now granted, a lot of people are starting to go back to the office a lot more. All of that enhancement revenue is being taken away. Our clients are saying, okay, they're reacting to that, and they're getting a lot more aggressive on the preventative maintenance as well as the reactionary maintenance from things that break on the irrigation side to supplement the revenue that's frankly running away from them on the enhancement side.
So Lex, many people are listening to this show, so I'm going to describe where we are because some people watch it,
Let's
some people
do it.
listen.
Yeah.
So we're in your office, and you've got turf on the wall. You've got this cool SmartLink sign. And on the table here are two very interesting glass jars.
Okay.
They have corks. One of them has kind of a brownish liquid. What is in this jar?
Yeah. So
why is this out?
yeah, so great story. So this is our cause, and so we have something frankly a lot of landscape companies now are familiar with it. We ran a big event at NALP, but it's our Save Water, Give Life campaign, and so we had this idea about 10 years ago, seeing how much waste there is in water here in the U.S. that a 2-hour plane ride from right here at my office, 2 hours on a plane, I can put you in a dozen, maybe close to 50 to 60 communities in Mexico and Latin America that do not have access to clean drinking water, that are physically drinking the same water that the cattle bathe in, that all the herbicide, pesticides that they use, a big agriculture, big farming, economy down there. All of those chemicals rush into the groundwater. And so even if a community is lucky enough to have a shallow water well, think 10 or 15 feet down in the ground, all of those pesticides leach straight into that water system. And so it's leading to 8 out of 10, think about this, Jack, 8 out of 10 hospital beds in the developing world are full of people, men, women, and children, due to waterborne illnesses. Not cancer, not exposure, it's dysentery, it's water-related illnesses that get transferred through that. And so we said, you know what, we can't exactly bottle up all the water here, that we save people when you install SmartLink and you get your programming right. And so what we decided to do is for every single system that we sell, every single SmartLink connection that we sell, we want to give an individual clean water for life. And so that's our Save Water, Give Life campaign. I know the NALP, I think we did a quick blurb there together, but we raised almost $50,000.
Yeah, so I was at that event
that
you had.
Oh yeah, thank you for your participation.
It was
Cocktails for a cause.
It was cocktails for a cause. So I really liked what you guys did because we appreciate the invitation to your party. We came and then you had a jazz band playing. It was cool. And then you had a TV screen with a fundraiser counter and a text to donate. So I donated, a lot of people donated, and wow, like nearly $50,000. So I was blown away by, one, I love that you're doing that and it ties into your brand, and I hope other businesses find something like that.
I'll tell you, it was the most, inspiring thing. Like, we can talk about work and the impact that SmartLink makes on businesses, and your business passion and all that. For me, like it's something bigger than ourselves. I think we're all searching for something that's bigger than ourselves, and for us here, we want to find people that attract to our culture, and this is our thing. But that night we set a goal to raise, I think it was $3,500. To fund $3,500 to build one well, to fund one clean water project. And I got up there a little nervous on stage, going like, "What happens if we don't raise it? Like, what happens?" And we got to $3,500 in about 3.5 seconds, and we said, "Hey, let's keep going, and we got to a little over $20,000.
That's so much money. That's incredible.
In a couple minutes, and then I made a couple last-minute phone calls to a few folks, and I was able to wrangle a match out of the whole thing that pushed us up close to 45 grand. So
that's
incredible.
Amazing. So
generous.
I love that about the landscape industry in general. I think there's some of the most generous people I've met with their time, with this type of charitable giving. With sharing what works. So
this is what a community drinks.
Oh my gosh.
This is straight from a shallow water well. I believe this is actually from Nicaragua.
Okay.
And so this is physically the water that once you pull it out of a shallow water well, we put it into this jar, and that's all the sediment, the dirt, the pesticides, the herbicide, all of that
what is
captured
floating
in this.
There's something.
It's everything you can imagine.
It's
all the
terrible.
Exactly what you're thinking. That is what it is.
Yeah. And this is what people are drinking.
That's what people are drinking, bathing,
so
cleaning their kids.
Remind me which organization actually builds the wells?
Yeah, so we partner with a group out of Houston called Living Water.
Water.
I believe they're the largest. If not, there's water.org and there's Living Water. Living Water has for us, a religious, element to it as well. And so they share the gospel when they're down there in these communities, and then bring living water to the thirsty. So wow. The name of the organization is very intentional. So this is what you leave with when you can get down 50, 60, sometimes 110, 120 feet into the ground and hit those aquifers. So that's what we're doing. We're getting deep water wells that go into the aquifer system versus the groundwater little deposits where this comes out of.
I love it.
Yeah.
One last thing I wanted to ask you about real quick was you shared a story. I was just interviewed on your partner spotlight, which is cool. You guys should go check that out. Just give us a sample so people go listen to the rest of it about the client of yours who hired, I think, their niece and nephew to go out and do irrigation audits. What was that? Because I think this is something that this is an opportunity for our listeners.
Well, I'm a big do it now fan, right? So if there's something to be done, if we want to go start an initiative, what can we do today and grow off of it versus what's the big mountain that we want to climb and what can we go get done today? And so I love things like that. And so a partner of ours, Dean DeSantis up there, who you're familiar with in Portland, Oregon, just south of Portland, they launched our program last year. And then this summer, they wanted to make a big push in their irrigation because it's a shorter season up there. So they have to kind of make while the getting's good, right? And so what he did is he actually had his daughter and then had his daughter actually recruit a couple of her friends to come in and do irrigation inspections and make a big blitz for the summer. And so they redirected their irrigation techs, which are very hard to find, competent, good, skilled irrigation techs. They took all of the inspection responsibility off their plate so they could do what they like doing most, which is the actual repair work, and shifted all that requirement over to these 2 or 3 high school summer interns, basically, for lack of a better word. And they set a goal. And long story short, each one of those individuals who came in and plugged into it did close to double the forecasted proposal amount with greater than a 90% acceptance rate from their customers to address those, frankly, deferred repairs just because, I mean, we all live in a labor-crunched industry right now. And irrigation inspections are one of the first things that get kind of pushed to the back in the summer and spring months when things get busy. And so they're able to go and really recapture all of that pent-up demand for repair and preventative maintenance in the irrigation system. So phenomenal success story with them. And Dean's not the only one doing it. There's probably about a dozen people who, after that podcast came out, texted me and said, I did the same thing. I had my niece, I had my nephew come in and go do it. They killed it because they were, this next generation who loved to have a phone or an iPad in their hands. They loved being outside. And so this is the first thing they could kind of tie together.
Fun. That sounds like a fun job. Lex, one of the things you mentioned that I liked there was about getting the irrigation techs out of doing the what did you call them? Audits?
Yeah, the inspections. Some people call them wet checks.
Yeah. So one of the things we help landscape contractors do is brand the sales process to get the owner out of sales. And the way to do that is have a milestone-based sales process where there's, this step and we need to move it to this step and move it to this step. I literally would think of like a whiteboard with columns and you're putting a sticky note. So the Smith property is going from initial appointment to here to there. You could use Trello boards or HubSpot or whatever. But what I like about what you did was you shaved off the analysis, the site inspection, and templatized it, and then gave people technology to make it easy. And that created bandwidth for one of the biggest challenges in the industry, which is finding irrigation techs.
Yep.
And so this technology, I think, allows you to get more done with either fewer people, or at least it extends the people who are currently on your staff.
Or a much broader hiring pool for that responsibility. And this was not some big revolution that we came up with. We were actually in a meeting before we even really had this concept. And someone was joking, like, saw so-and-so, feeding the wood chipper again. And the example is, one of the highest paid, labor roles in a landscape company are the tree climbers.
Right.
Physically, the tree climbers who get up there with a chainsaw 50 feet up in the air and trim the tree, they're a highly valuable asset. Like, the last thing you ever want to see is the high-paying tree climber feeding the tree chipper, right?
Right.
Because you don't need all the licensing and the skills that it takes to go do that work to be feeding the chipper truck. You need that guy, producing revenue up in the tree, trimming. And so we came up with the same thing of, number one, very difficult to hire skilled, experienced irrigation techs. Out of the hundreds that we've talked to and interviewed, it is a vast majority of them can't stand doing the inspection, just for what it's worth. They don't enjoy it. And so what kind of work product are you going to get out of someone not enjoying part of the work?
Is it the customer facing part of it that they dislike, or is it what about it?
So as the years go on, it's becoming more adaptable, but these primarily males enjoy working with their hands. They enjoy fixing the problems. They enjoy, digging the hole, replacing the head, getting the nozzle, put on correctly, covering it back up. What they don't like to do is they don't like a bunch of paperwork. They don't like clicking buttons on an iPad. They don't like walking all over the property they like to do the physical irrigation work. And so when all those things lined up together, and by the way, they're really hard to find and hire.
Right.
And so we did a little study on how much of their day, an irrigator's day, is inspection related versus repair related. And it was like 50-60% of it was inspection related. That they didn't enjoy doing, that they weren't the most efficient at it because they didn't enjoy the actual work itself. And so when we separated those two overnight, the hardest role in the company, one of the hardest roles in the company is to place the irrigation tech. That capacity just got doubled because we took that other 50% of their job off their plate. We're able to put it with somebody else who has less experience, also a lower pay rate, and a much greater hiring pool. And that lended itself to be a great kind of stepping stone to bring someone into the company, teach them this best practice. It was a phenomenal way to train up future account managers, future production managers, even potentially future irrigators. And so it was as we got that implemented at our partners, overnight success story when you can isolate and kind of separate those two responsibilities between inspector role and actual, repair technician.
Or at least make that inspector role as easy and seamless as possible.
Absolutely.
Well, Lex, it's been a real pleasure having you. So for folks who want to learn more about SmartLink, about Weathermatic, where can we connect with you?
Yeah, our website, weathermatic.com. If you want to learn particularly about SmartLink, smartlinknetwork.com. I'll tell you probably the easiest place to see what's going on with us and keep up is just connecting with me on LinkedIn. So Lex Mason on LinkedIn. I'm trying to be as active as time allows, but that's a great way to, all of our links are on my page there. So
cool.
So go there and you can follow us
Well,
everywhere.
I'll put links to all of that in our show notes. And thanks again for coming on the Landscaper's Guide. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. And if you did, make sure you like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel to get weekly sales, marketing, and leadership inspiration for your snow and landscape company. My name's Jack Jostes, and I'll see you in the next video. Have you ever thought about turning your irrigation department into a profit center? Blooper. Check out this conversation for blah, 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 blah.